Welcome to the Politecnico di Torino on behalf of the doctoral school. I will try to give answer today to a couple of questions which rise up quite often from graduates. Why should I attend a PhD program? Why should I perform it at the Politecnico di Torino? To give those answers, we need to explore together the real meaning of three words: education, research, and community. Let's start with education. The PhD candidates are already researchers under training. Therefore, the educational path is an important element of their PhD project. At Politecnico di Torino, we offer a wide variety of modules. They include the so-called soft skills, dealing with project and time management, as well as communication and writing, and even entrepreneurship or design thinking and others, in addition to hard skills, covering specific topics of engineering and architecture and related humanities. Moreover, those courses are taught by professors and researchers of the Politecnico, but even by visiting professors coming from several prestigious academies and by experts coming from companies. This path leads to complete the education received during the Bachelor and the Master of Science, and to develop a vision of the real target of research activity and handling tools to make innovation. Let's continue with research. Our PhD programs cover almost all the relevant and strategic targets of current research and innovation activities and allow PhD candidates to perform a daily experience within our research groups, inside departments, but even in some specialized centers. Particularly, our research is performed in tight cooperation with industries and companies. Some of those have also some dedicated units operating inside the Politecnico, in the so-called Cittadella Politecnica. This experience allows PhD candidates learning methods of research activity, improving their skills in managing related tools, and growing up very fast as conscious researchers and innovators. Let's finish with community. A relevant part of training is also working together within teams, interacting with other scientists, and learning how collaborating improves the effectiveness of the promoted actions. In Torino, we have a real system of knowledge linking our departments together, by projects, centers, laboratories, and even to companies. Politecnico di Torino is even leader at national level of several activities and deeply cooperates with other universities. Finally, international links with other universities are strong, and in particular Politecnico is member of several networks and even of an European University Alliance. Therefore, candidates find in Torino a real community where their research and education experience can be easily developed. So far, join us and our PhD programs to be trained, to have even fun in your daily work, and to have all together a strong impact on our future.
Great, so I'd like to thank the professors for this contribution. I can see that more people joined. So whoever just joined, basically, we just started with our presentation. We are here connected with the Politecnico di Torino. Today we're going to talk about PhD at Politecnico di Torino. We're going to tell you about the advantages of studying a PhD at the Politecnico, but also we're going to talk about the initiatives that are in place at the institution. So we're just now sharing with you another video contribution, and of course, any sort of questions that you might have, we will also have an interactive Q&A part at the end of the presentation. So we're now going to talk about the advantages of studying a PhD, so why choosing a PhD at Politecnico di Torino will be a good choice for you, and I'm just going to share with you the contribution of the Vice Rector, the Professor Sonza Reorda, who is actually also connected with us and will be able to answer live to your questions after the presentation. So I'm just going to share this, and for all the questions, please use the Q&A box.
Hello everyone. Politecnico di Torino is a technical university founded in 1859. Since then, Politecnico has been a top-ranked center aimed not only at teaching but also at research and innovation in all areas of engineering and architecture. Politecnico di Torino is consistently ranked among the top 50 technical universities worldwide for the quality of its research and for the strength of the connections linking it to companies and other research institutions. Torino is known as the industrial capital of Italy, since many important Italian companies were born here and still own large plants and research centers here. Fiat, now Stellantis, Iveco, CNH, Alenia, Thales Alenia Space, Avio, Telecom Italia, just to mention some of them. Several other companies established production and research centers in the area, such as Pirelli, Punch, Vishay. Politecnico has strong connections with all of them, as well as with many other Italian and international companies in all areas of engineering, architecture, and design. Politecnico di Torino is also very active at the European level and participates in hundreds of European research projects with academic and industrial partners. To summarize, Politecnico di Torino is home to many research and innovation activities, covering both fundamental research and applied innovation, in cooperation with companies, public bodies, and research centers from different parts of the globe. Our PhD students are deeply involved in these activities, thus being exposed to research and innovation. They can benefit of the huge investments in equipment and labs done by Politecnico in the last years, allowing us to perform not only theoretical, but also experimental research in many fields. To better promote and value the results of our research, we also created I3P, a successful incubator which has been recently awarded the label of Best Public Business Incubator in the world. I3P supported hundreds of startup companies, many of them created by our previous PhD students. Research activities at Politecnico di Torino also benefit of the quality of our two main campuses in Torino, which combine tradition with a focus on quality of life and sustainability. Politecnico di Torino is a dynamic research university with strong connections with the town, the region, and the rest of the world. PhD students are a key component of our strategy and plans, and I really hope you'll be part of our future.
Great. So now moving towards the last video that we're going to share with you for today before moving into the live part of the presentation and of course all of the questions. We're now going to talk about the advantages of studying a PhD at Polytechnic. So you've heard from the director of the doctoral schools. Now you've heard about why choosing a PhD could be a great option for you. Now we're going to talk about the advantages. Consider more people join and started to write their questions into the chat or the Q&A. This is great. Keep doing that because we will be answering them live at the end of the presentation. So I'm now just going to leave the floor to the Professor Guide Talocha. He's a professor, he's coordinator of the PhD in electrical, electronics and communications engineering, and will be telling us more about the advantages of studying a PhD at Politecnico di Torino.
Hello everyone, my name is Stefano Grivetta Locia. I'm a professor and the coordinator of one of the PhD programs at Politecnico di Torino, in short PoliTO. In these 3 minutes, I will try to convince you why doing a PhD at PoliTO is a good choice. First of all, the PhD is the highest academic degree where you are trained to become a researcher and an innovator. Innovators are really highly needed in these difficult economic times, in particular in engineering and architecture. Now, if you decide to go for a PhD, you need to decide the location, which must be a research university with high international reputation, with expert faculty staff, top-class facility and labs, and a good organization. PoliTO really matches all these requirements and even more. PoliTO, as you may know, is steadily in the top 30-35 universities worldwide in engineering and architecture, and close to the top 10 in Europe. We offer a large number of programs, including 16 local and 14 national PhD programs, with a team of professors with really high standing, strongly connected to worldwide institutions and companies. This is why we offer really excellent opportunities for our PhD candidates in view, of course, of their employment after graduation. Now, as you see, the number of PhD candidates is steadily growing every year. We have now reached about 1,200 concurrently active PhD students at PoliTO, with a significant share of international candidates. In fact, the conditions for a PhD at PoliTO are particularly favorable. The net monthly salary is almost 1,400 euros, which is significantly higher, about 200 euros per month, than the standard PhD salary of Italian candidates. This salary is increased by 50% for research periods spent abroad, which is very common, and more than 5,000 euros are even available for travel reimbursements. This is only possible because PoliTO spends a major part of its budget to support PhD, almost doubling the funds received by the government. Most important, significant funding for PhD scholarships comes from companies. This private funding is constantly increasing, has now reached more than 25%. So as you can see, practically all PhD candidates have a scholarship at PoliTO. Even more, in this particular year, European and Italian governments are investing major resources in PhD. This is part of the so-called PNRR, which stands for Piano Nazionale di Ripresa e Resilienza, which is intended to support boost economy by funding research and innovation. We're expecting about 150 more PhD positions per year in the next years, which is 30% more with respect to an already increasing trend. So I would say this is the right time to apply for a PhD, especially at PoliTO. Let me give you now some numbers about performance about our PhD candidates. Students that graduated in 2022, as an example, were able to collect 129 scientific awards, including base paper and presentation awards and more, and produce more than 1,800 unique publications, which amounts on average to more than 7 publications per candidate. So these numbers are really exceptional and confirm the quality of a PhD at PoliTO. Now, with a PhD degree, to conclude, you will easily find a position in academia. Remember that if you want to become a professor, the PhD degree is a must. In companies, especially in companies, as R&D, highly trained staff, and possibly future manager. Note the statistics show that about 30–40% higher salary is expected in midterm with a PhD degree. And finally, why not as a startupper, in order to bring results of the PhD research to the market. Remember that major opportunities are available here at PoliTO for startuppers. We do have an award-winning incubator on campus, and dedicated funding is even available for proof of concept and product development. So in summary, once again, this is the right time to apply for a PhD. PoliTO will be the right choice for you.
Great. So I'd like to thank the professor for his contribution. And as anticipated, we are now ready to dive deep into the topic. You can see more people join. The professor Sonza Riorda is connected with us as well. So we are now going to dive deep into PhD at Politecnico, but most likely we're going to also talk about all the collaboration and other initiative of Politecnico. Professor, I leave you the word while I'm going to share the presentation.
Thank you, Federica. Hello to everyone. So until now, we tried to convince you that doing a PhD in our university is a very good idea, is a very good opportunity. Now we'd like to update all of you in a short time about some special opportunity which is active now, thanks to this PNRR, and we will try to speak about it and explain why it is a good opportunity if you are interested in making a PhD in our university. So what is PNRR? Well, I think this is should be known for Italian attendees, but let's speak about it even for foreign ones. PNRR is the National Recovery and Resiliency Plan. The acronym comes from the Italian version of the name. And it is the Italian version of a big program launched by the European Commission over all the countries composing the European Union. the total investment for Italy is definitely significant. We are speaking about 200 billion euros to be spent over the period of the program, lasting from 2021, the program is active already, and 2026. This program is obviously wide in terms of targets and scope, and it is organized in 6 missions. Now we will focus basically on mission 4, and the next transparency focuses on that. Mission 4 targets about aims at focusing on education and research. It is still although it is one part of the 200 billions, it is still significant. We are speaking about nearly 32 billion euros to be spent in what? In anything related to education and research. And the significant part deals with research, deals with university and research centers, including Politecnico di Torino. In particular, here I wanted to speak with you about some initiatives which all support the creation of PhD positions in the participating universities. In particular, inside the PNRR, it was planned and it has been launched a call for creating 5 national research centers combining the best research centers, universities, but also companies active in 5 fields identified by the government as strategic ones. Similarly, the PNRR launched a call for selecting 12 projects corresponding to what they call innovation ecosystems. While the national research centers, as the name say, are at the national level, these ecosystems work at the regional level. So they are intended to promote the cooperation between research centers and companies in order to favor the technology transfer and make easier the, let's say, the transfer of technology and benefits from research bodies and, let's say, the real world, including companies and public bodies. Following the list, no, sorry, I need still the previous transparency, thank you. The PNRR is also supporting 20 projects aimed at improving, widening, and making more accessible 20 research infrastructures, okay, allowing, let's say, research to be done in a more effective way. And finally, PNRR published a call for selecting 15 extended research partnerships on selected topics. Now you could ask, but what is the difference between all these activities? They are all focused on research. The difference is on the TRL. So the readiness of exploitation of the research. The 15 extended research partnerships are intended to perform something closer to basic research. The national research centers are in the middle, transferring good research, which are boosted to companies. The ecosystems should cover the last part, how to, let's say, transfer in the best way to companies and public bodies and anything interested the results of these activities. Now we can go to the next transparency, because I told you that there were calls. So the different consortia made proposals, and some of them were selected. Now, after this selection, we just finished, Politecnico discovered with high satisfaction to be to be active in 3 of the national research centers that were selected, and we will make a list in a moment. In one innovation ecosystem focused on our area in Torino, 3 research infrastructures, and 9 extended research partnerships. Now, all these initiatives will support research and technology transfer, and clearly PhD students play a key role inside them. And we estimate at the moment that at least 80 PhD positions, including scholarships, will be activated very soon in the frame of these approved funded activities. Let's see in the next transparency some more information about these projects which have been approved. Now, this project either started, the National Research Centers project officially started today, September the 1st. The innovation ecosystem will start October the 1st. We will see that the partnerships, the extended partnership will start in November, but you see, it is a matter of some months. And in these months, we plan to select and hire all the PhD students, let's say, supported by these initiatives. Which are these initiatives? Well, the biggest one in the first group is the one devoted to sustainable mobility. Politecnico plays a key role in this area because, as you have learned from the previous videos, Torino is a major center for mobility, in particular cars, trucks, buses, but also aircrafts. And the Sustainable Mobility Center aims at boosting the research activity, the innovation in this domain. The second center is devoted basically to HPC, high performance computing, supercomputers, big data and quantum computing, which are, let's say, strategic areas in this field. And Polytechnic is active here, especially in the part devising new and future architectures for these HPC centers, in the application of the available facilities to material sciences and in general engineering applications. So it is quite active in this domain. Finally, concerning the National Research Centers, we are active in the Center for Agricultural Technologies, where we play a key role both in sustainable agriculture. This is becoming a key and important factor, and in how to innovate the agriculture with the usage of technology, sensors, let's say cloud, whatever can improve the agriculture. The innovation ecosystem, which has been approved and will start in October, its activities, is a way for linking together the research centers located in Torino at large in the region and the private and public bodies interested in the innovation. The names is Digital and Sustainable Northwest, because Torino is located in Northwest Italy, and it aims, you remember what we said, at supporting and boosting the technology transfer. Finally, there are 3 projects aimed at supporting, widening, and making more open free research infrastructure which already exists and where we play a key role. One concerning energy transition and circular economy. The second, supporting all the studies about brain, simulating the brain, better understanding how the brain works. And this is seen for us from an engineering point of view. And finally, there is an important infrastructure supporting geological services. Now we can go to the last part, which are the extended partnerships, which are described in the next transparencies. We are active in 9 of these projects, which have been just selected and approved. I will just browse them just to give you an idea of what they focus on. The first one is about future artificial intelligence research, and in this project, Politecnico takes care in particular of the application of artificial intelligence to industry, transportation, logistics, but also finance, for example, since Torino is the site where several important banks are located, and banks are going to use more and more artificial intelligence for their purposes. The following one, NEST, is a project focused on energy and sustainability. Trying to develop new solutions for producing, managing, optimizing, saving energy. The third one is related to the creation of resilient communities under a changing climate. In other words, we know climate is changing. We know that risks are there because extreme events are becoming more and more frequent. We need to forecast them, we need to manage them, we need to recover from them. This is the topic of this project. Then the following two projects, Changes and Italy, are relatively a little bit less important because we play a smaller role. The first one is on cultural heritage. The second one is on precision medicine. We are a technical university, so especially for precision medicine is not exactly our goal, but we participate in this project and we hope to be able to, I'm sure we will be able to provide some good contribution. The following one is very important. Cybersecurity is a key topic, is a strategic topic. There is a lot of research to be done and a lot of technology transfer. The project focuses on that, and once again, Politecnico contributes, especially from the technical point of view, the technological point of view, how to develop new computers, new computer networks, new solutions for preventing cyber attacks and for reducing their effects. The following project deals with made in Italy products and aims at boosting the usage of circular and sustainable solutions inside this important domain for Italy. Last two, Restart deals with future telecommunications. So whatever deals with telecommunication, optical telecommunication, 6G telecommunication systems, reconfigurable systems, whatever deals with telecommunication systems. And you know that Italy plays an important role in this domain. You know that several important labs at the national level are in Torino, so we play an important role here. Finally, probably the most important of this project, the one dealing with the space. We are the coordinator of this project, and this project covers all the aspects of space. The technology for launching satellites, for designing and manufacturing satellites, for managing satellites, for managing also space exploration, and very important, for supporting the space economy. So how to use all the data coming from space in a clever and, let's say, useful manner. Now, this was just a quick summary of what we are doing inside these incredible opportunities given by the PNRR, providing a lot of resources for doing research. Now, if we can go to the following transparency, just a few important points about PhD positions that will be opened inside this project. Well, the calls are not there already yet because these projects are still in the final phase of negotiations. However, here you can find the link where in October, most probably late October, beginning of November, you will find the calls for all these positions related to the projects that I described to you. These will be additional positions with respect to the ones, let's say, opened until now and funded with, let's say, more traditional mechanism by Politecnico. Be careful because apart from all the benefits of doing a research, a PhD at Politecnico, in this case, by doing a PhD inside this project, you will also benefit of the fact that these projects are let's say, managed by consortia at the national level, connecting the best university, the best research centers, and the most active companies at the national level. So this, in my expectation, will be a major benefit for students because they will be in an environment which will be a very stimulating environment. And from the other point of view, these PhD positions will be exactly as the others. So same salary, same conditions, same, let's say, organization. So these positions will be distributed over the 16 PhD programs of the Politecnico that you know already. So this is a fantastic opportunity. Now let's go to the following transparency, where I'd like to add something which is important. Until now, we spoke about the probably 80 positions or so that will be launched in October, November. However, I think it is important to inform you that there is a call which is still open until September the 9th, which is still connected partly with the PNRR, because among the other initiatives of PNRR, PNRR is supporting, let's say, the cooperation of the university with companies, and in particular supports the establishment, the setup of positions of PhD activities in cooperation between the university and the companies. And in particular, there are 117 positions which are PhD positions co-funded by companies. So behind everyone, each one of these positions, there is a company interested in working with a research group in Politecnico. You can find them already. And if you look at this keyword, DM352, you will identify this position, which are still open. Okay. For these positions, there is some additional constraint. At least 6 months should be spent by the PhD student in the company to guarantee the link with the company, and at least 6 months should be spent abroad. If the company is a foreign company, the two periods could overlap. And then there are also 32 scholarships which are still open, coming from a law which is this DM 351, which are still open. So if you are interested, my suggestion is to go to the Scudo site and check, say, what you need to do in order to apply, to check which is the activity which is really required and envisaged for each of these positions, and to be in touch as soon as possible with the professor in charge of this activity. In each of the pages describing these opportunities, there is a name. If you are, on the other side, interested in the opportunities that I described until now, since they are not yet, let's say, opened, so the calls are not out there, well, if you're interested, go and be in touch with the coordinator of the PhD program you are interested in. I saw among the questions that were raised that there are quite some people interested, for example, in doing a PhD in mathematics. Okay, we have a PhD program in mathematics. Go and contact and be in touch with the coordinator that will be able to put you in touch with the specific professors that could be interested in your availability and interest. So be proactive, go and visit our site and be in touch with the reference persons. Then you will be able to apply and there will be a selection and hopefully you will be selected. I think I tried to summarize the key points at the current situation. Here you can see the email address, you can see the URL where you can find further information. And now it's your turn for questions that we will try to answer.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Professor. It was great. It wasn't easy to try to summarize all of those initiatives. You did amazing. And I actually just posted the two different links, which I believe will probably be very useful. So the first link I've actually posted is the Dottorato one. So it's the admissions one. So any sort of questions that you might have, as the professor was mentioning, not all the polls are open, but in there it will be the right place where you can look for extra details. And then there will be this email address, it's kudo@polito.it, and the team will be able to support you. While I was looking at the question, we had different students that were asking about IELTS and GRE. So in terms of like requirement, do international students need to submit a GRE or an English proficiency test before applying?
The key answer is what we need, what the students applying for a PhD student in Politecnico need to have is a GRE certificate, okay? Because we want to be sure that we can judge in some way their abilities as the GRE is able to do. Then they will be evaluated. There is not a minimum score. It is just, let's say, a certificate that we want to see in order to, let's say, evaluate together with all the other parts of the curriculum of the applicant. Okay, so GRE is mandatory for foreign students, but there is not a minimum score or a minimum requirement on its result. Okay.
Perfect. Another question, it was more about what is the acceptance rate. So what would be your suggestion for a student that is interested in studying a PhD at PoliTO to stand out from? I mean, I guess you probably receive lots of different applications. What would be your tips in order to make their application stand out?
That's a very good question, obviously, because I mean, the success is very important in every application. Well, first of all, the application rate changes over time and from one PhD program to the other in a significant manner. Okay, my suggestion in all these cases is what I was saying before. Try to be in touch before applying with the reference persons, the coordinator of the PhD program, the person doing research in the area you are interested in, so that you are not, let's say, a person coming from the blue and appearing for the selection. If you are a known person, you can, first of all, know the possible tutor you will work with, and you will be able to check whether you are compatible. Because, I mean, it's a matter of working together for 3 years. I think it's important not to do that in a random manner, but to check in advance. So my suggestion is, before applying, try to speak, to be in touch with the coordinator and with the possible tutor you are working in the area. In this way, you can, let's say, check whether you are suitable, whether you are compatible, you can work together in the best way. And this possible tutor will be the best guide for, let's say, helping you in the selection and in the selection process. Perfect.
You mentioned before mathematics, so there are different departments. Of course, if you check on the website, you'll be able to see each department and the position that are open. So someone was actually wondering if for robotics and nuclear industry, there would be some project related, and where would be the best part to approach. So is this the website the place to look for those information, or do you advise a different way?
Well, obviously, there are some topics where I guess it is easy to find the related department or PhD program. Mathematics, for example, there is a department of mathematics and there is a PhD program in mathematics. Easy, I guess. There are other subjects which are a little bit more complex because they are not let's say, connected to a single department. For example, the two you mentioned, robotics and nuclear, let's say, nuclear activities and nuclear projects, because robotics is everywhere at the moment. So in the Department of Control and Computer Engineering, there are people doing robotics, but there are people doing robotics in the Department of Mechanics, obviously, and in other departments as well. So in this case, what I suggest, if the student is interested, is in using the possibility, the search engine existing on our website. Put some keywords and you will be able to explore the publications. You will be able to explore the persons doing research, the list of persons doing research in this field, or in the worst case, try to contact the, let's say, the chairs or the reference persons of the PhD programs which are more related to these keywords. Okay.
Perfect. So these actually apply to all of you. Actually, some people wrote about biological, bioinformatics. So of course, there will be some departments which you easily find. But of course, we're talking about Polytechnic Institute, so the majority of the subject that you mentioned, most likely, they will be available. You just need to do a bit of research.
Yeah, and Scudo is always there for providing support when you really don't have, let's say, a clear view of who should be contacted in specifically. Okay.
Perfect. One advice or maybe recommendation that you can give. There was one of the students that was asking if it is feasible to work and study for a PhD at the same time. What's your opinion on that? Or if you have experience of students that actually were working while studying on their PhD, if you think it's possible or is actually something that is not feasible?
Well, let's start from a fact, and the fact is that the Italian law establishing and ruling the PhD says in a clear manner that the PhD activity is a full-time activity. Okay, so according to the law, if you are a PhD, you cannot do that part-time together with another activity. Okay, however, since in several cases the PhD activities are done in cooperation with a company on a subject of interest for a company, there are also cases in which we sign an agreement with a company and say, okay, let's open a call for selecting a student working on this topic, and this student may be an employee of the industry, of the company, or maybe a person who is hired by the company, and while the person does the PhD and follow the PhD program, he works or is paid by the company. But this is a follow-up of the agreement where the Politecnico and the company decided to allocate this person for 3 years doing research on this topic. Okay, so this is a special case, if you want. Otherwise, I think that the starting point is if I'm doing the PhD, I should not do other activities in a, let's say, consistent manner.
Perfect. So before we mentioned that GRE is something important, so when you submit your application, GRE is important, but someone that is interested into the field of IT, so we're talking about informatics, computer systems, and cyber security. So they're asking us if actually there would be some other, for example, the GPA, is it something that matters whenever they put an admission through, or if it's something else that is actually required. In this case, they're actually talking about the informatics part. I'm not sure if actually it will be related for the rest. So apart from the GRE, if actually GPA plays a key role.
Let me say that the selection of the best candidates that will then become PhD students is done by first looking at their curriculum. So any let's say relevant certificate or experience or previous skills that the candidate may show, it is important and is evaluated. And then clearly there is an interview where, let's say, also the motivations are evaluated and so on. So apart from the GRE for foreign students, apart from the English certificates, which are also required for non-English speaking or people, there is no other requirements. The evaluation committee for every, let's say, call and for every PhD program will evaluate the different candidates based on the interview and their curriculum, and will select the best persons to be hired for filling these positions.
Clement is asking us for cyber security. What if you have any sort of advice, and maybe we can just more general talk about how to approach an interview. So you mentioned that, of course, you will be evaluating the resume, but also there will be an interview. So what's the best way to prepare for this interview?
The interview is not going to check, is not intended to check whether you are an expert or to check your technical skills. Obviously, I mean, if you demonstrate, if you are let's say an expert in naval engineering and you apply for cybersecurity, probably they will see some troubles. But the main goal of the interview is to check your motivations and to discuss about possible points which are unclear in your curriculum. Okay, so I don't think it is necessary to prepare for the interview. I mean, in the interview, you will describe why you are interested in that position, what you did in the past, and the committee will try to understand whether you are the right person for that position. Once again, I think it's very important to anticipate possible issues, to have a contact even before the interview with someone which may turn into your tutor afterwards. Okay, so contacting someone doing cybersecurity inside Politecnico could be the best starting point, even in this case.
So this actually also answers some of the questions, because someone was wondering what's the best approach. So yes, definitely have a look up. Probably the tutor was actually have the position open, so at least you have an idea on, you know, what's the position open and if it's suitable for you, and then, you know, you can actually put the application through correctly. While we were starting our presentation, we do have some students that maybe are coming from Italy, but they're still interested in studying a PhD in English. So I was actually wondering what could be the advantages of studying a PhD in English, if you think if there are any, and if you would recommend this option to also Italian students, or generally speaking to students where English is not their first language.
Well, here, Politecnico is a technical university, so what we are covering are technical areas in which English is the normal language used for any communication, even inside Politecnico. Many of our PhD students do come from abroad. Personally, I have 3 PhD students, and I basically speak with them in English, at least in the starting period. Most of our courses, most of our activities are done in English. I think that apart from very specific cases, I mean, there are also PhD, let's say, dealing with local history or local architecture. Okay, these are special cases. But in all other cases, I think English is the standard language, which is, let's say, pervasively used wherever inside Politecnico and outside Politecnico. I frankly don't understand how we could really compete with our international, let's say, partners and competitors without speaking in English. So be prepared, everything is in English. Perfect.
This is great. So in terms of like they're asking us if there is a requirement of publishing a conference paper at the end of the PhD. So what could be the final work, thesis work, or work that the project that they work on for the PhD?
Well, let's say that there are general rules which are valid at the Politecnico level, and Politecnico believes that publications are crucial for many reasons that I don't want to discuss here. So at the Politecnico level, there are some rules defining some minimum requirements in terms of publications, journal publication and conference publications. Then the single and the specific PhD program may have even stricter rules in forcing, for example, a higher number of publications, forcing other constraints like you need to stay abroad, for example, for a given period. You need to have some experience presenting papers in conferences, interacting with companies, managing some small research project during the period, etc. Frankly speaking, I don't think this should be, let's say, a worry for the candidates. If you really wanted to do a PhD, and this means devoting 3 years of your life to learning how to make research, I think you should assume that during these 3 years you will make a number of publications, because this is the way in which you interact with the rest of the international community, and doing research in a technical field without interacting with the rest of the world is a nonsense. Okay. Now, clearly, I don't want to enter into the specific numbers, because this depends also on the area. There are areas which are more used to publish a lot of conference papers, others where journal papers are crucial. This depends on the area. And this is why the different PhD programs have different rules and constraints. But publishing, I mean, is the normal way for doing research and demonstrating that we do real research. And I mean, there is no doubt about that.
Perfect. I know that we're receiving lots of questions about details on the admission, so I'm just going to put one more time, because of course each PhD programs, each division, each department will have different admission requirements, but it's also an email address that you can reach out. So it's not like we don't want to answer this question, it's just they're very specific, so feel free to check on the website. Also, we are recording the session, so you will be able to re-watch it in case something you might have missed or it wasn't clear. One of the questions that I can see comes up a lot, and I kind of use the fact that you also say I have some PhD students. I want to ask you, what's the best way to approach a professor? So LinkedIn, via email, what they should write, what is a good way to approach a professor, what information should be included?
Well, you know, I guess you know that professors are a strange person by definition, so you cannot make a rule. But I think that email is a good starting point. Obviously, there are colleagues which are very active on the social media, starting from LinkedIn up to anyone else that you can imagine. Why not to contact them if they are active on this media? I think if you see that a professor is active on a given channel, why not to contact him? The standard way is through email, because normally it is, let's say, the most common medium still used for professional purposes, including selection of PhD students. But it depends, basically.
Perfect. So yeah, definitely, as the professor said, email. Make sure probably that you write all the relevant information, leave contact details, right email address, and perhaps one thing could be make sure that you check the requirement first, because you know it would be probably a good way for you to start. So you know the professor already know that you did your homework, and also for the professors to make sure that they're actually going to start a conversation with someone that is interested but also eligible for the program. So we've said a lot, and of course we wish, we had more time to go through all of your questions. But I wanted to ask the professor if there was something else they wanted to add. So we're coming towards the end of the presentation, but we will also have some other, initiatives. So we will be making sure that we follow up with the relevant information. But is there anything that you wanted to add or to highlight for the presentation?
No, I'd like to finish to conclude probably stating something, especially for the benefit of students coming from abroad, because I'm sure that attendees coming from Torino do know the area, do know Politecnico. Let's say it is not necessary. For those coming from Pakistan or from Brazil, probably it is a different story. And I'd like to emphasize once again that Politecnico di Torino is in the middle of a very active and dynamic environment to which we are strongly connected. Okay, so Politecnico di Torino is a technical university. I think that one of our strong points are the strong connections with the many companies around us. Around us means that in some cases they are in the incubator or in the area of Politecnico inside the city. In some cases they are in the region. In some cases they are the other side of the ocean. But we have a strong set of connections with them. And the good point of Politecnico is that until now, and I'm sure we will continue, we have been able to combine these activities with companies, so applied research, with a good scientific production. Okay, so the good point of making research in Politecnico is that you can combine the two things. There are a lot of links with companies and let's say interested bodies, but there is a tradition in doing good research, and this is, I think, is a major strong point of our university. This is the reason why you should apply.
Perfect, and definitely, I mean, if you're not sure, if you have any question, definitely try. I mean, don't, take the opportunity, so put an application through. As you can see, the team at Scudo is very much available to answer all the questions that you might have. While we were presenting, there was someone just behind that was answering all the questions. I know there were some questions that probably we didn't have the chance. For example, some of you were mentioning about scholarships. Yes, we talked about those PNRR initiatives, but there are also some scholarships available from the universities. So on the website, you'll be able to find all the details, but also, email Scudo. As you can see also, the colleagues, Marinella Ferraro was answering what the question was here with us tonight, answering the questions, and will be available over the next few days. So I really like to thank the professor and Marinella for being connected with us, and all of you for being connected and all of your questions. It was a great pleasure to hear about the interest about this institution, but also all the specific questions that you have related to each program. We'll make sure we follow up with recording the sessions. We will be sharing with you the recording and also some useful link for you to put an application through over the next few months. As you can see, we have some deadline, but also some course of application are not open. So there will still be time, so you can gather all the necessary information to make sure that you're ready to apply whenever the call will be open. So thank you so much, Professor. Thank you so much, Marinella, for your time. All of you for staying connected, and we look forward to seeing you soon in Torino then. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, bye.